Hello, Wastelanders, and welcome to the fifth episode of the All Out of Stimpaks podcast. I'm Dylan from Ghoul_City, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Nick and Oliver. You guys want to say hi?
Oh,
Hello,
Well,
I'm Nick. He's Oliver.
it's episode 5. You should know us by now.
If not, there's
So,
a name thing.
yeah, there's also our names.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite tin can faction, the Brotherhood of Steel. You can't get enough of them, and you won't get enough of them. They're always going to be there, so figured dedicate an entire episode about them. So to start, just want to gauge everyone on the evil meter. What's everyone's favorite version or chapter of Steel?
Oh man, just starting off on
Yeah,
like dividing factor, huh?
yeah. See how evil everyone is.
mine has
Boy.
to be the East Coast one, but at the specific point at which they purged the pit. At that exact moment, I'm like, absolute cinema.
It's beef with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they just cleansed the whole city. I was like, those are the people. Those are the knights.
That's when I knew the Brotherhood of Steel was in the right direction. Whenever they cleansed Pittsburgh.
What's your beef with Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
They know what they did.
The Rev
I bet
1776.
Never forget.
Never forget. Sorry,
Oh,
too soon.
man.
didn't mean to
Too
strike a
soon.
chord. Didn't mean to strike a chord.
It's interesting. That's good question. I don't understand why the Brotherhood of Steel is honestly as big as of in Fallout as it is. Like so many people fanboy behind it. I mean, I understand why because Bethesda literally made it like their flagship faction, right? But I would say honestly, my best favorite portrayal of them is Fallout 3's Brotherhood of Steel. Because I generally like a more grounded faction, and I think they're the most neutral, and I think their best interest is in Fallout 3. Personal opinion.
See, I was gonna say New Vegas, the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah.
Just because it shows, I don't know, it kind of shows that the Brotherhood, they don't want to keep up with the times. They're trying to, dead money, hold on to the past, not let go of it, and now they're faltering for it. They stuck way too true to their ideals, and it bit them. They're not willing to change at all. I think Nolan is willing to change, but Paladin Harden, I think, is the hardliner who wants to stick to the code and keep everything in the bunker. Yep, in the bunker.
There's a bunker. Yeah.
Keep it in the bunker.
I do like I do like seeing the Brotherhood of Steel after being like on this high horse I've seen Fallout 3 and then seeing back again on Fallout 4. It's nice to just see them being dropped down by the NCR, right? And putting pushed back into a bunker. I think that is a really good it is good to see as, more Brotherhood of Steel fanboys came out in Fallout 3 to see that hey, they're not this amazing perfect faction. So I do like that iteration too.
I think also we need to give a little bit of a highlight, special mention to 76's Brotherhood of Steel. Like not the Steel Dawn lot, but like the lot who like they did sacrifice and give their lives to try and stop the Scorch Plague. I'm like,
Oh yeah, it's Haggerty, right?
Okay, special. Yeah, like
That is good.
they're kind of Brotherhood of Steel light because they just recently converted to Brotherhood of Steel, but like they still have like a thing mentioned the fact they did like give their lives to stop the Scorched.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they were a little bit rude and mean to other people.
Well, we should also special mention to the Brotherhood of Steel and Fallout Tactics. They're also a very particularly good lot.
Yeah, the crucifixions by the Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very special.
When did that like a few years ago? Everyone was like the Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel are actually the good guys. How did that even start?
Who said
With
that?
What do you mean?
didn't like I would see it on like these memes all the time, but people would be like, the Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel were good because they would recruit outsiders and they
I
had
mean,
super mutants and
I was gonna
tribals.
say they are inclusive, but I think it's mostly just for meat shields, aren't isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
they have a very inclusive meat grinder.
Yeah, essentially.
I just remember like it was bad on Reddit
Oh,
a
wow,
lot. It,
that was
that
your
was Reddit, but
I was gonna say that's kinda your first issue is,
they'd be like, Midwestern Brotherhood of Steel is just as good as Elder Lions. I would see
No,
all the
no.
time.
I personally think from the small lines we have, the Montana Brotherhood might have similar ideals to, like, the Lions, Brotherhood of Steel.
'Cause I
Um,
think
those
they did talk.
so all we have, about Montana Brotherhood is, like, one cut quote from Owen lines in Fallout 3, and it's just, like, a quote about, I
People
literally
of
have it
Montana.
pasted. Yeah, people Montana. No, it's literally just talking about, like, service ship and, like, guiding them and, like, finding purpose in, like, your brothers and, like, stuff like that, which is obviously very, um, similar ideals
Cheeky.
to what Owen thinks,
Mhm.
and honestly, think because the way Owen brings it up, that he is either talked to the I think it's named Procolius, whatever the elder of
Yeah, Elder
yeah,
Petrocallus, some
Procalis, yeah, that's it.
yeah, something like that.
He talks him in a better light, so maybe they have, like, similar ideals or something like that. That's just my theory, because obviously that's the only thing we know about.
And it's cut.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
only thing we have in mention of it, so.
Really putting the brotherhood in Brotherhood of Steel. Seems like
Yeah,
there is their thing.
the brotherhood, but not the brotherhood, you know?
I mean, that really does show with Lions because he does, you know, want Wastelanders to be treated with respect and to be
Mhm.
more they seem a lot more supportive. Like, if you went to the Mojave bunker and you said, "I'm having a bad day, I need to talk to someone," they would tell you to go put on this cool collar that we just made. You go to
Yeah.
you go
We
to
have
the Citadel, they're gonna sit down and talk to you.
we have just the device for you. Put on this
Yeah,
collar.
we have the depression cure, put on this cool collar.
Yeah.
There's similar for like one where literally go there and like, oh, we need help. There's a problem. They're like, go to this radioactive bit. It'll be really fun. We promise. Like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Imagine the discussion right after you left too, just, yeah, we just sent that guy to die.
And the Brotherhood of Steel is just, like, 3 dudes in Fallout 2. I think there's literally, like 3
Yeah.
characters
It's
within
just
the
the
Brotherhood.
outposts. There's like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is our embassy.
yeah. Yeah, this
You
is
can't
Brotherhood
come
of
in.
Steel in Fallout 2. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. But
So with that Taggarty stuff, because from what we know is that with that is Arthur Maxim. No, Roger Maxim.
Roger.
Roger.
Roger Maxim. Sorry. Roger Maxim contacted Taggarty and said, "Hey, we're gonna start this cool new club. Do you guys want to join? We have this really cool symbol. We were in this cool bunker. We killed a bunch of scientists and government officials. Do you want to do this too?" And they signed up, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do that." And they died to the scorch.
Oh,
But
Daggedy, check out this merch.
check out our
Hang
merch.
on, mate.
Do you think maybe with future Fallouts we'll get other of these chapters that were started due to Roger contacting other military bases or other groups, or will they be all expeditions from the east or expeditions from the west?
So, like, the fanboy in me wants it to be more from expeditions, because Fallout 76's Chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel is just so forced. Like, it was I just feel like it was just hot take, I know. But I
Yeah.
feel it was just so, like, they tried to make the Brotherhood of Steel fit in this timeline so much. I still, to this day, I just don't know how much I feel up, like, how much it really means or it makes sense that much. I mean, it fits, but it's like It's like that meme where you have to like cut the shape in half to make it fit in this section,
Yeah, yeah.
versus it being naturally fitting. So
Yeah, I
um,
I agree. It would be nice to see because 76 does have a lot of new factions,
mhm.
but I can't get enough of new factions. I love new factions. I like the responders. I love their idea with the
Oh,
responders and that other
oh,
group that they have, the fire breathers.
the fire breathers and
Free
what's that
states.
one? Which one?
Free
The free
states.
states. That's it.
Free
Free states.
states.
Free states was really cool. I like the free
Oh
states.
yeah,
It's
because they just
super
had their
like
all their bunkers.
yeah, exactly, and it fits so well in with like West Virginian like not folklore, but like the what people typically are like in West Virginia, and like the
Preppers.
bit yeah
Prepper
preppers
culture.
yeah it fits so well with the area, and I just felt like the Brotherhood of Steel was just like like it didn't fit that well. Enclave, yeah, White Springs Bunker, I totally get that. That's totally cool with me. Brotherhood of Steel, pushing it a bit.
Yeah. I was gonna bring something up. There is the expedition from the West Coast Brotherhood of Steel all the way to Appalachia that we do see in 76 too, with the Paladin and Knight. And you have kind
Mm-hmm.
of the choice between the Paladin, who wants to be more, not completely, but more East Coasty. Then you have the Knight, who wants to stick to the West Coast ideals. And they still both recruit Wastelanders and stuff because they take you on. All you have to do is like talk to 3 people who say like, "I want some water," or "Oh, something bad happened," and
Yeah.
they're like, "All right, well, you gave that guy water and he checked on his farm, so you're in." Honorary member of the Brotherhood of
What
Steel.
an interview process, though.
Oh, I
I think.
remember. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, flicking back to the other topic, that I think it's because I didn't get a chance to respond to about the expeditions and such. I think it made sense in 76, in my opinion, for there to be expedition, no, to the outreach programs, we call it, or outreach programs, be like, oh, hey, join us. And they're like, but I think when we're getting to the point of like a couple hundred years later, it doesn't make sense for there to be groups that the Brothers Steel are unaware of or not met up with at this point. So they've either been fully incorporated or they would have moved somewhere more brother presence. I don't know. I don't expect there to be any other groups now that are kind of the outlying people who might be like, oh, we just turned from the Brother to Steel. Nor can I
Mhm.
imagine the Brother Steel still reaching out in such a capacity. I think maybe we had a Fallout 76 spin off in a sense, where you have other areas that kind of
Um,
just off the bombs. You could maybe see other groups like that because I imagine Max did like a mass broadcast, but I don't expect there to be any more groups you see in the later games because they would be fully incorporated at this point.
yeah. No, that makes sense. That does make sense of why you wouldn't see it like in the later iterations of why this like spin-off branches.
Well, I feel like with that, with the new chapter that was founded whenever versus an expedition, you can't really have too much of a large presence with an expedition unless it's a full expedition like we see in Fallout 4, where it's like it's kind of implied like this is everything we got. We're coming from the East Coast and we're staying on the East Coast of Boston. We're just going up north a little bit. Because I don't know if there's any mentions of people staying
The
back
Citadel.
in DC in the Citadel at all.
There's this one line I can't remember. I think it's Paladin Dan says it. He says, "Remember the Citadel."
Oh,
So I think
does
there's a
he?
heavy. I think there's a heavy
Mhm.
implication it got destroyed.
Interesting. I did not
I'm
know
still,
that.
still gonna find out. You're
Yeah,
gonna
no,
see
I
me.
think
I'm
that's
choosing my
similar.
mind right now.
No, I think that's right. I think it's like a battle cry kind of thing he yells.
But they still have Adams Air Force Base, I feel like.
Yeah, I think they do.
But back to that, I feel like unless it's a full blown expedition, we're sending everything we got. You can't have a full main focused faction of the Brotherhood of Steel. I feel like they would just be a side group if
Mhm.
it's just an expedition.
Yeah.
We'll see what researcher Oliver pulls up.
Our our independent researcher Oliver has to say about the issue. Oliver. Um.
So the thing, yeah. So he definitely. So he says for the Citadel. Remember the Citadel. but it's not conclusive. People aren't conclusively agreeing that it means the citadel was destroyed. Some people see means that something could have happened linked to. Well, I know we're getting onto it, but a certain character dying thinks it all could be linked. Something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I could possibly theorize is that the Enclave had. So obviously, those who remember, the oldies will. In Fallout 3 Broken Steel DLC, you can launch orbital missiles at the mobile crawler base, but you can also redirect some of them to the Citadel, and you can blow it up and you can go loot the armory. So some people think that the Enclave clearly had multiple means of other orbital missiles, so whether they could have done some sort of retaliation last minute to just knock out the Citadel, that could have maybe blown up a certain character, and that's how she, or whoever it is, passed. Just
I don't like that theory.
oh, get your own theory then. Oh.
Yeah,
I
very,
do.
very, very. So now that we've brought up theories,
Oh boy.
I've got one for you. So as we see in Fallout 4, Arthur Maxim is the elder. He's the
What?
youngest elder. He
Spoiler alert.
became elder at a super young age. And he's a hardliner. He kind of ditched Lyons, kind of help people come first before the technology. So he's gone
I wouldn't.
completely.
I would argue he didn't ditch it. He just kind of pragmatized it a bit, because obviously one of the main things is that he kind of blended his ideology with more the outcast hardline to meet like mid ground. He still kind of he still looks towards helping people. I wouldn't say he's completely gone back to the West Coast's views. He's still kind of open, especially bringing outsiders and such. He still allows that to happen.
Yeah, well,
So
I guess he's helping people by destroying and keeping technology. Keep them safe that way.
And
But,
just forcibly making farms being a part of the Brotherhood of Steel to help.
Yeah, well, you only
supply
got to do
their-
that once. One
that
farm.
modified bat is quite high tech.
We need these three Tato plants. Thank you.
Yeah.
This will fulfill us. I never planted anything there. I had my one settlement I dumped everything into. You guys get 3 Tatos. That's the one you chose.
Yeah. That's perfectly supplies the Brotherhood.
You chose Nordhagen Beach. You get beach. 3 Tatos.
I better get 90 happiness. If not, I'll be back.
But so yeah, we have Arthur just kind of absorbing more of the West Coast ideals. Which is a little weird after being with someone like Owen Lyons and Sarah Lyons, who also was pretty pro Lyons. That's her dad. So I kind of thought of a theory, and this will lead into another theory, that when the civil war between the two Brotherhood factions that had the Outcasts and Lions Pride, I'm sure not everyone who sympathized with the Outcasts left with the Outcasts. I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe a scribe, maybe a knight, were like, "Oh, I don't want to commit. Like, he's right, but something bad could happen." So it happens. They do their split. Some of them leave, and maybe some outcast sympathizer in the Citadel says, "Oh, here's little Arthur. He's got the cool last name of our founder. I'm gonna talk to him a little bit. I know he was a squire to Sarah, but all the other hours of the day, this outcast knight could be influencing Arthur, making sure that Arthur reads the original codex constantly, giving Arthur reminders of what the Brotherhood's really about, kind of keeping it under the radar of Maxim to kind of just subtly influence him." And so just keep that in the back of your head. So Owen dies from natural causes, and then Sarah Lyons becomes elder. And from what we know of that is all we have was she was elder for a very short time, and then she died. We have no really too much information besides that. So I think it's a little weird that we have information about Owens. He was just natural causes. And we have his very influential daughter that she fell in battle. She died. She was elder for a short time. We have nothing else. So where the theory comes in is maybe some more of that outcast influence got to Arthur, and he knew, well, I have all these people who maybe secretly support me. Um, what if I speed things along a little bit, and I try to get myself closer to the position of elder so I can guide the Eastern Brotherhood of Steel back onto the ideals of the West Coast. So I think somewhere, maybe not him pulling the trigger, but other Outcast sympathizers or Arthur himself killed Sarah, and that's why we don't have what killed her, what battle she was in, what she was doing. Um, Maybe because it just wasn't a very honorable death. They don't want to talk about it. It's a soft cover up. She got killed. That's it. So that's the theory. Is maybe Arthur had a hand in killing Sarah to speed up his own eldership.
That is one of my honestly. That is one of my. That's I don't subscribe to a lot of theories in Fallout, and this is one of the theories that I will die on. Is the idea I Sarah Lyons was murdered. She was assassinated. She was killed. By who I think is the bigger question. I've heard everything from the Outcasts and Arthur Maxon, like speaking things along for that. I've also heard the Circle of Steel
Mm-hmm.
somehow getting up there. I've heard that that's a big one as well. Um, but I'm more lenient on the Arthur and Outcast because I think it makes the most sense and I could see it happening more. So I completely subscribe to that theory. I in my head that is canon. It's not confirmed or anything, but in my head is canon because there's no way they can just write it off as she was killed in battle. This main character of Fallout 3.
Yeah,
Um yeah, there's definitely something that happened to her and I definitely think especially with the direct shift in ideals after obviously Sarah and Owen died. It's I 100% think if Arthur wasn't behind it, then people pulling the strings was doing it so Arthur would be in that position. Then since that someone has been grooming him for that role.
I think it would make sense that he definitely had someone from the Outcasts grooming him, making sure
Hmm.
he read the right stuff, heard the right words, and then a another thing with that, Owen Lyons, yeah, he died of natural causes, but we kind of saw he was old. He was super old in Fallout 3.
Yeah, that one's totally understandable.
That
Like
one gets the write off. He
yeah.
passed
So
away.
I've subscribed to that one. The Sarah just dying in battle. No, no.
And then we do have clearly with the Brotherhood still being such a large force in Fallout 4, maybe there was a lot more people in the Citadel who agreed more with the Outcasts than Lions, but just didn't want to fully commit to it because a majority of the force still stays. They're like, oh well, we're clearly not doing the Lions Pride thing anymore. Um, but you do have a few of Lions Pride hardliners. I believe there's a merchant in Bunker Hill, the armor merchant, was a former Brotherhood of Steel. So it could be said that he was maybe a Lions hardliner who left, one of the
Yeah.
few, but I don't think we hear anything else from them. Official
Uh,
content.
I think with the direct lack of like lines about Sarah and the Lyons family in general, I think that might be an indication that, there has been that direct like line of cross. And maybe even to the extent of like the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4 is more or less the outcasts. Like it could literally be just mainly them and or anyone else that said sure like they just willingly agreed it versus all the Lions Pride members been killed because we don't see or hear anything about the Lions family or any of their ideals other than those terminal entries which are literally like a sentence or two which is
Yeah.
crazy because they were main characters in the game
You think
and
maybe it
and the leaders.
was like
Mhm.
again with that soft cover up? Do you think it was like a Romanov situation where like, all right, here's everyone who still agrees with Lions, take them out.
Totally, or like yeah, like a Julius Caesar kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
a bunch of people got around, murdered her as soon as Owen died. Because I think Owen was ultimately the thing that was holding everything together. And as soon as
yeah,
Owen died, like that was just like Sarah is left with a bunch of broken pieces, and no one wanted that anymore.
because they do say it wasn't directly Sarah than Arthur. They say there was bad elder after bad elder.
Mm-hmm.
after Sarah.
Yeah, successive runs, like unsuccessful ones.
So, do you think here's another little thing to think about. Were those elders sabotaged to get Arthur in place? Sabotage everything that they do. Maybe Elder Elder Bill and his
Good old Elder
best
Bill.
friend, head paladin Bob, who was a outcast sympathizer and wanted Arthur to be in charge, just sabotaged Elder Bill completely along the way to make sure that, okay, this guy's gonna fail, that he's gonna get kicked off his position, and then we'll finally get the one that we want because we were able to, like, Minecraft YouTuber this kid, groom him completely to get what
Oh
we
my
want from
god.
him.
Do not say that.
But still, they were able to
Yeah.
groom Arthur to have the more West
W-
Coast ideals.
Do we know when do we have like a date whenever the elders were the Lyons family were wiped out?
I think
Or is
Oliver
it just
knows.
Oliver?
So when I was before reading this, I was looking into kind of the different. Just there is a real timeline, but you can kind of put it together. One of the interesting aspects is that it says. So obviously it says it talks about kind of what happened roughly, and then it says Owen died, then Sarah died. It says years later, Max and I start to show his accomplishments and become a really good kid and stop biting my arm, things like that. But the interesting part is they say years later, at the age of 12, he was 10 in Fallout 3, which means probably literally just after the events of Fallout 3, this all kicked off. Because years later, you don't have much leeway when you have 2 years. Like, it really must have been at the very cusp of whatever happened with the Enclave when that all died down. To be fair, I'd probably go as far as saying Owen was probably killed as well. Owen was definitely killed. Sarah was then killed as well.
Oh, so you think
Because
Owen was killed too?
it makes sense. Like her dying so soon after, they must have been like, fantastic, get rid of her, because she wouldn't have been. It makes no sense for them to have just killed her suddenly. Why would they wait for him and then suddenly kill her? You'd think if they're gonna try and hasten this process, they would have just killed them both and be done with it.
I don't
So
know.
I think if
Owen was kind of old.
Yeah, I think
Again-
Owen was the only thing holding everything together.
Maybe I'm
And as
drinking
soon
a
as he
brotherhood
died,
Kool-Aid.
But again, my point is why would they have waited for his death necessarily, and then kill her suddenly? That doesn't I'd wonder why they suddenly tried to quick the process up, but waited for this old guy to kick it, but then suddenly be like, oh, I need to hurry this up quickly. Get her.
because it's a shift in power, right? Because then as soon as Owen there was direct ideal differences, right? But that shift of power is like no one. It's like, okay, Sarah's the new elder. No one wanted Sarah to live as long as Owen, right, and have to deal with this for the entire time. They saw this shift in power and opportunity. I think, in my opinion, that makes sense.
Oh,
Although
yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, Owen held everything together. As soon as he died, the split between Lions and Outcast hardliners got...
Yeah, or like a lot more people supported Owen, and then maybe Sarah didn't have that much support compared to her father. So it's like it was just like over the edge of people not willing to do and whatnot.
I wouldn't say Sarah too much support, because again, she would have been one of the heroes against the Enclave. Like Lion's Pride was like one of the instrumental groups within dealing with the Enclave, especially the mobile crawler base, the Air Force base. So like she would have proven herself to be like likable enough and have brought enough support. Because in fact, she was one of the instrumental characters who turned on the Purifier, who took down the Enclave's like main bases. So she wouldn't have lacked support. If anything, she'd be basically a war hero. I think what would have happened is the Enclave, literally, the thing with the Enclave would have happened. They would have, they likely would have, I think they would have wanted to have killed Owen, but they would have basically, they went, look, the Enclave are kicking our ass until the Lone Wanderer gets involved. We can't get rid of him. Once the common enemy's dead, they're like, well, now who gives a let's get rid of him now, because we've got rid of the Enclave. So that's why I think they got rid of the Owen once the main threat was gone. Then she's gone as well. The elders, I think, is an interesting point, but it's not determined. I think it could potentially be assumed that those, basically the elders being put into place, was done from the West, because we know they had some interaction with them, and with Owen dead, they might have been, because they had hands in setting up Arthur Maxon as the elder, saying, oh, you're right for it now. So it could be the West were actually trying to put leaders in, but they're having resistance from more the Lions people.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Outcasts formally rejoined when Maxon basically reunified them, and that's what solidified him becoming an elder. So maybe the success of elders was actually the West Coast trying to force people into the position, but the Lions people pushing back against it.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could also another thing I thought of is maybe it was a morale decision because in the major battles that we see with the Brotherhood, they're except when they did some silly stuff in Mariposa with those scientists and government officials, they've always fought very defensively. Helios 1, they were defending a position.
Mhm.
I believe when there were some issues going on with Lost Hills and the NCR, they were fighting from their bunkers. The NCR was trying to
What about
get
Navarro?
into the bunkers. Navarro, well, the NCR was attacking too, so they had their meat shield to defend behind. Right? They had their human NCR meat shield. But with Fallout 3, especially when the Lone Wanderer shows up, they become very offensive. And
Mhm.
depending on what level you are or what difficulty you're at, they're taking a lot of casualties, which I'm assuming from fighting defensively, that's not something you see a lot of. You're not seeing, oh, we're charging in and we're getting decimated by these Enclave guys. So maybe there could be a morale of, okay, we just finished with Owen and he got a lot of our friends killed fighting offensively, attacking. Sarah is young. Do we want to go through another 60 years of offensive fighting to save wastelanders and keep the water safe and sending our guys out on caravans to transport water? Do we really want to do that again?
I,
So maybe there were some morale
I
issues.
you got
Okay. I was gonna say I think that's a funny um that's a funny line because the idea is, oh, Sarah's gonna like kill all of our people doing all these other things. And then Arthur goes in here, let's go to a different wasteland in
We're
total.
going to
Just eradicate
Boston.
going to Boston, declaring war on every other faction that doesn't
Yes,
approve
and
of us.
over there.
You think we're fighting raiders? No, these guys can teleport right behind you and vaporize you instantly. They'll replace your friends. Oh, you settled down with one of the scribes and got married? Oh, she's been a robot for 15 years. She's not real. Love that. You married a robot. But yeah,
Oh
that does make. I don't know. I was just trying to. Maybe
no,
there
no,
was
no,
some
for sure, for
morale
sure.
issues with
No, for
the
sure.
recent battles.
I can get that. But I just think that'd be so funny. It's the morale issue, and then all of a sudden, as soon as Arthur gets in control, it's like, all right, let's declare
New
war
campaign,
on
guys.
somewhere else. Wasteland, it's wrecked. Get rid of it. Capital Wasteland. Here we go. Not Capital Wasteland.
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth.
Guys, got a new assignment. We need to take an energy signature for a vastly superior enemy over there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the head scientists of the world were put into one spot, and then all their kids became super smart scientists who have regrown animals from different continents. Yeah, let's go after them,
Yeah,
guys.
the smartest people in the world combined with an basically unlimited army of robots. Let's face them down, boys.
Yeah, we got this. Fighting the Enclave? Oh, that was the cupcake shift, buddy. You're gonna be. We're putting in an 80-hour workday shift to fight these Institute guys.
Oh.
It's okay, we have a blimp.
Yeah, we have an airship.
We brought the blimp. So, with Maxon kind of in conversation, do we think Maxon is still around with the Prime show?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
You think he's still
100%.
alive?
Oh, I've done a whole video on this.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh,
no, I actually have. But yeah, long story short, yeah. I think one
yeah.
of the main things, one of the most interesting things about Max's history is it's so unclear about how real it is. It's a lot of it's definitely propaganda about
Mhm.
how he took down a death cult at the age of 14 single-handedly. I'm like, oh fuck off! Like, there's nowhere.
So I
There's
got these scars.
exactly. It's like, oh, he got a claw in his face. I'm like, what?
Probably from
And
the
now it's
gecko.
at the age of 20, like led like he basically took down like the leader of the super mutants on the East Coast. I'm like, no, you
Shepherd,
didn't.
I believe.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you didn't. Shut up. Like, no, you didn't. So there's definitely a lot of like zealotry around him. But like this is like the chosen one, the descendant of the founder. There's so much kind of like vigor around him about how fantastic he is. And by the time Fallout 4, we hear that there's almost like religious worship, there's cults around him. There's worship about this guy, about how like amazing he is. And obviously Brother Steel just stoking that. And obviously we hear in the Fallout TV show that they now have the kind, was it the like the elder
Like
what are they
cleric?
called? Yeah, the elder clerics, which is a new religious turn to Brother Steel. We knew they kind of loved their kind of religious around what they did, like quasi religiousness, but to turn for that for the Brother Steel is, I feel like there's a reason they've turned that way, which is the way they're keeping themselves together is almost like a Caesar's level of let's all surround ourselves in worship of this kind of like religious figure who's basically leading us to new ages. And so that's why I think Maxon's around, and that's why they're still around, is because he's still surviving and kicking it.
So you're thinking because Wastelanders will refer to the Brotherhood as a technology cult. You think
Mhm.
now it's more of a Maxonian cult?
I think it's the only way they can survive. It seems like they're on their last legs anyway. In the show, he's basically like, we're rough, like we're not. It seems like whatever it is, it's not healthy because it seems like it's not really lasting them very well. Because obviously they're not really that religious. The whole point is that they're meant to have a greater purpose and not really dedicate themselves to a person. But it seems like they're trying to be that anyway. But it seems if he's alive, he may not be very well, or he's not particularly being very good.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fallout TV show makes it seem like they're not doing particularly great. So I think he's still around, but it's not necessarily for the better.
So with that, I got another question for you. With you saying they're not doing too great, do you think the Pridwin, that's totally the Pridwin that we see in the Fallout TV show, do you think that's
That's when
rather than a coming home party, do you think that's more of a retreat, maybe?
I don't think it's a retreat.
You don't
Mhm.
think it's a retreat?
I think at this point the Royal Seal's at its like biggest peak has been at yet. Like the NCL, whatever the capacity they're at, seems to be largely diminished or at least like retreated to somewhere else.
Mhm.
Where they fucked off like Reading or something, like upwards they've gone. But they're certainly not where they were. And I think we discussed in a previous call, they've probably gone to more like Hoover Dam direction to get away from there. But the Brother Steel, I think this is basically them just showing themselves off now that they can just send their ships across the country. Like they're basically showing like countrywide dominance at this point.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of the NCR
Yeah.
being in a crippled state.
And
Mhm.
if the Pridwin is still around, then either I doubt they rebuilt it in that time because they took them 10 years basically to build it in victory time. Let alone if they were like smashed to pieces and they're like, "Let's just get Bill." I don't know. We were a minute by just shooting them. So it's clear they won. So they clearly have East Coast dominance now, pretty much. Like the Institute was their main threat. Without that, they really face nothing.
Do
They
you
have Cold
think
Fusion now.
Yeah, that is true? Do you think we'll see Arthur in season 2?
I think
Or
we,
do you think we'll get
I think
mentions at least?
we'll definitely have mentions. There's no way to bring up the Brother still further. Like the Pridwin is there. Like
Mhm.
I think at some point they'll show on the Pridwin, like actually on the airship and like showing what's going on. But because there's got to be some internal like higher up reacting to this, but like we got Cold Fusion guys. Like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
The actual line from the season 2 is like, "This is actually really cool."
Max is
Yeah,
like,
so this
"Dude, dirty
Moldaver
now."
lady, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna bring power to everyone in the California wasteland, so like we can all do better." And we were like, "What if we took that?" So we just
Literally, like
popped that right out.
the Knight's like, well done, great work, Paladin. Meanwhile, like the airship, Max is like,
Imagine
screw
being one
you,
of those
Owen, you done nothing.
wastelanders. You're just sitting in your home, all of a sudden, all the lights come on, and you're like, "Oh my god, what happened?" And 5 minutes later, they're all out. Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
god, this would be such the biggest tease, wouldn't it? Be like, "Oh my god, we get power." The
What
brother
happened?
and Steel just yoink it out.
Did the NCR regroup? Did they do something? No,
Oh, it's gone.
they just unplugged them. They unplugged the machine.
Duh. Oh man, I was gonna say, do you think it's also interesting? Side note that how the LA power grid is still intact 200 years later.
That's pretty good.
That's
I
Yeah,
would
what,
say.
what
It's pretty impressive.
War doesn't mean a strike. You got to keep working.
After several nuclear detonations, as seen in the beginning of the Fall of Prime show, surprisingly, the power grid is still good. Very surprising.
Yeah, I was gonna say my power grid. It gets a little rainy or a little windy. We're out for
gets
3 days. I mean,
Yeah.
if the wind's too
Thing is,
rough.
That's a good point though. Like if it's once I was like, oh, my home doesn't get coverage, then I'm like, oh. I just put the thing in the thing. I'm not electrician.
I can unplug it and plug it back in, but besides that,
Doesn't
do
work
you know
now.
about cold fusion? Oh yeah, let me just call it my cold fusion scientist we have on speed
Our
dial.
technician, hang on a second.
It's just fantastic.
Dial up.
The season 2 subplot of like the Brother to Steel is them just being like having a call center, but like, yeah, your home has no power. Well, I'll have some power to you.
They turn into like a rom-com.
The NCR is now DTE.
It's like the Office, like Fallout Edition. Max is all kind of like, you stupid people.
Oh.
You know what? That's what we should get. We should get Fantastic as the cold fusion scientist, and it's just Dr. Fantastic and Norm stuck in a room together.
Oh, there we go.
That's it. That's the side plot. Norm and Fantastic.
Oh my god, fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So okay. With Arthur Maxon, back on topic. With Arthur Maxon, being mentioned in the show at least, probably won't be in season 2. But if he were to show up, does anyone have after all these years, does anyone have an Arthur Maxon fan cast? Who would play the best Arthur Maxon? This wasn't on. I know I didn't send this beforehand, but I just thought of it.
Oh, Oliver's like, hang on a second. Let me look through my pictures. I have someone. Honestly,
the Pinterest board of my fan casts for Arthur Maxon.
I would say Richard Armitage.
Rich Armitage.
Sorry, I'm gonna really, really brokenly show it to the camera because it's the best thing to do.
Okay.
Okay. Give him the mohawk.
He played Oakenshield in Hobbit.
How old is? How old is Arthur at this point? He's what?
10 years. 10 years.
27.
Yeah. So what?
This is who I got when I pulled him up.
40s. Yeah, that's actually it.
That's some bald American politician.
No, that's actually it.
There's a spelling error somewhere.
Let's see. How old is Arthur Maxon? He is 20 in Fallout 2, so he's only 30.
Fallout 2.
I'm sorry, Fallout 4. My bad.
We pulling a Attack on Titan there with some time travel?
Yeah, time travel does exist according to Fallout.
It does, yeah. We get Stonehenge?
Stonehenge.
In Fallout 1 or 2?
Stonehenge in Fallout 2 that causes Fallout 1.
Oh, spoilers for Attack on Titan.
Yeah, thanks. You ruined it. He's only I didn't realize he was only 20 in Fallout 4.
He's looking rough, man.
Well, it's because he's killed like 30 Deathclaws by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about this guy's only 30.
That's crazy. His prime.
If he's doing rough at 30, something
comes out. Hello.
Yeah, like geriatric.
I drank too much of that FEV stuff, and I started to become a super mutant.
Yeah. So, very side note, because we were talking about theories about what happened to Sarah Lyons and all of that. This is completely side note. Have you guys ever heard the theory that Sarah Lyons was a synth, and that is why that Arthur goes on this huge rampage of getting rid of synths, and that's why she's only labeled as just killed in battle. Yeah, exactly, because no one wants to say that Brother of Steel was infiltrated by a synth, especially in that major faction.
Yeah, that we made a synth and elder.
In fact, that's definitely a theory I buy into.
I think that's a really cool theory. Um, I
So
think
maybe,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
I can see your
The weird thing,
your
maybe
tinfoil hat just slowly coming on over there.
him going to Boston is just
Yeah.
revenge.
Yeah, and I think it makes more sense as to why he would go there if that is the case, and
Because
I
Arthur
think
did have a crush on Sarah too.
yeah,
In the
exactly,
terminals, yeah. Could be
exactly.
heartbreak, revenge.
Mhm. Mhm.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I see it's part of a larger theory of have you ever heard of the theory that Deacon's a lone wanderer, you know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
came out. That came out pretty quick after Fallout 4,
That was a big one right after Fallout 4, and
especially with Acadia and all that stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think that was one of the things that were connected with it was Sarah was a synth because it's all tied to the backstory you have from Deacon. Because Deacon just lies all the time,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and you can draw analogies to Deacon being the lone wanderer and his lover being Sarah and all this other stuff, and the University Death Clause being the Brotherhood of Steel and all that stuff, because the University Death Clause don't exist. So I don't subscribe to that whole theory, but I do think Sarah Lyons being a synth is very possible. I do like that
Yeah,
theory.
it would make
Mhm.
sense. Because the whole Brotherhood, they would be gung ho behind that because that's a
Oh,
slap in the face.
totally, totally, and it gives them, that would explain why all of the Brotherhood of Steel members just without question are like, yeah, kill all those synths, you know?
Yeah, they don't care if they have feelings or a family. It's just
Yeah,
pop them.
fuck
You're a
'em.
machine.
Yeah, fuck them. 'Em. They're a toaster.
I was just pondering. I'm thinking the Institute don't seem that surprised when the Brotherhood turn up. They're not like, oh, who is these people? They
Mhm.
seem like they're like, oh, these people, as if they're kind of. I'm not sure. They don't seem particularly shocked that there's quite big superpowers just turned up because it's quite a big problem for them. But they're
Yeah.
kind of like they almost don't seem very surprised by it. And if they seem like they're like, oh, here they are.
Well,
Which makes which then I think lends into the theory that it wasn't just Sarah. There might have been a wider offensive the Institute did, because it's clearly there's clearly since already going to that way anyway.
oh, yeah,
So
with
there's
Hawkins.
and also you also had like the replicant man things like that. So there's also bits and pieces happening, but whether the Institute did more of a purposeful attempt to try and actually dissuade the brother, almost like weaken them, stop them coming that way, and so taking out the leadership's daughter. Maybe Owen was part of that, where they like maybe she killed him, but killed him in synth form. Like
Ooh.
maybe there's a bigger action to try and cripple and weaken them
Yeah.
to stop them coming that way.
Oh, I like that idea. It's synth Sarah killed Owen, and then they found out that Sarah was a synth. That's a cool idea. I like
That's
that.
screwed up.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's totally on par with the reactions of the Institute. I mean, and what the Institute does, right? Because they literally replace every
Hmm.
every
Oh, they're
faction
ally.
in the game. Yeah, has someone replaced. So yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
So do you think that could be again going into the soft cover up? So Sarah, boom, takes out Lions. Okay, natural causes, and then
Hmm.
they walk into the room,
Mm.
and people are gonna be. I don't know. Maybe if someone looks back in the history of the Brotherhood, they're gonna be like, "Why wasn't Sarah made elder? She was perfect for it." So they just lied and said, "Yeah, she was elder for a little bit, but died in battle. Don't worry about it. We totally didn't kill her right after watching her kill Owen." I don't know. That one's tinfoil hat, but
Or maybe it was something they found out. It wasn't until later that they found out like what happened and whatnot. But
maybe
yeah.
she went to try to do it again. Maybe she went to
Yeah, she
take
tried.
out Arthur.
Yeah, yeah. And Arthur, being a mass murderer of Death Claws solo, just killed Sarah on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Then they found out she was a synth.
After he throttled.
If the
After he
chips are
throttled.
like in their head, how do you find that? Yeah, all right. Well, caved in her skull, and this
Yeah,
little thing fell out.
yeah. How did you find that component? Ah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Arthur, how did you find this? Where was it? In
Oh,
your
yeah.
brain.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Well, guys, I found a synth chip in her brain. That's just a piece of aluminium.
So the power armor broke off.
Okay, smarter.
Are the synths even real? Was this all just mistaken identity? Because Arthur, with his brute strength, when he went to punch to kill Sarah, the armor broke, and he saw that in her brain. He's like, "Oh, that's a synth chip." It was just a piece of power armor. Because if he can one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat a Deathclaw, he can punch open.
Yeah, at the age of 12
Honestly,
too. Keep
At
in
the
mind.
age of 12, yeah.
Honestly, if Liberty Prime wasn't working, they would have got Max to just a claw down into Shin Street for them.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
he was just
backup as
taking it
Liberty
easy.
Front fell.
The Institute
could-
wasn't worth his time.
If you couldn't get if you could convince Dr. Lee to help rebuild Liberty Prime, they would just send in Arthur.
He would just chew his way through the Dance holds him by the legs.
Oh. And that would also explain why, because doesn't Arthur, whenever Dance is revealed to be a synth, doesn't Arthur say something along the lines of like "not again"? Like he acts like it's happened definitely before.
Look up.
Because I might be making that up, but I think that sounds familiar. Is him reacting in the way that this has happened before?
Yeah, Dance isn't a man, it's a machine, an automaton created by the Institute. It wasn't born from the womb of a loving mother, it was grown with cold confines. Blah, blah, blah. By attempting to play God, the Institute has taken the sanctity of human life. After I've done for the Brotherhood all the blood I've spilled in our name, how can you say that about me? You're the physical embodiment of what we hate the most. Technology gone too far. Look around you, Dance. Look at the scorched earth and the bones that litter the wasteland. Millions, perhaps even billions die. Science, blah, blah, blah. New frontier. Can't you see? Player choice. Maxim, don't be so naive. How can you trust the word of a machine? Blah, machine. Blah. I don't see anything.
Again, I could just be making it up.
Yeah, you gaslit yourself.
I do that a lot, but I thought I read something about that. At least it was honestly probably just a theory on Reddit that said that.
No.
It was like, oh yeah, it totally says that in dialogue. In a cut dialogue option, it says that, so it must be true. You know.
Redditors try not to gaslight themselves.
I think the bit you're thinking of is a bit where he's talking about how mankind's pushing the frontier, and he's like, "Can't you see the same things happening again?" But he's meaning synths. I don't think he means him specifically.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the nukes with that.
The way he talks about it is very interesting, though. Like, it's very emotive. Like, not like, look, he's a problem. He's a synth. Axe him. He's like very angry and is like, whereas he says the way he talks about it is if it comes from experience. I kind of get what you're saying, where he's kind of like, you're a single bomb in an arse of thousands ready to lay waste, and he says something along the lines of, "This machine might not be a bomb, but its goal is exactly the same. Place it with the damage you want done, so it delivers a lethal blow without warning and without mercy. A precision strike delivered right at the heart of the enemy."
It's very personal versus just, oh, this is an implant. Let's just get rid of this guy.
A machine that's had its mind erased, its thoughts programmed, it's very soul manufactured. Well,
with it being so emotional, I mean, this is Paladin Dance. This isn't, back to our favorite character. This isn't Night Bob or Scribe Bill. This is Dance, the guy I sent to go do an expedition to Boston before we got here in the first. Seems like a trusted individual, because it's always Dance being sent on the missions and then you tagging along with Dance.
Yeah,
but he seems to specifically describe the impact as in, like, he's had that happen before. That I kind of see what Nick's going to bring out. It's kind of seem like the way he's like just like a bomb, straight into the heart of the enemy, most that maximum impact, soul manufactured. Like, he sounds like he's been hurt before by trusting in someone like that, and then having that happen. Because I do think he loves Sarah. Like, I think when he got, even though he's like 12 or so when it happened before she died, like, I think he did have like a boy crush or affection for her. So obviously having her die, and also he must have seen her and Owen like family anyway. So like having them killed by whatever's happened, like definitely would have left quite a like traumatic scar in him that he basically just hates all of them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. He's got the heartbreak. He lost his father figure and his crush figure
His crush
or sister
figure.
figure, wherever it could be.
That's even with a bit weird saying going
Okay,
from crush to sister.
all right, yeah, oopsies. But still, like you know what I mean. Like Oliver said, that's his family that just got killed because of the Institute. If we go with that, Sarah was a synth and killed Owen theory. That's his family.
hmm
Boom, wiped out by the Institute.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I think we're all on the same page. No matter how you take it, there's definitely more to the story. It wasn't just a simple she died in battle. It was. I feel like it's either one of those. I feel like one of those two is the most definite of what happened. She was either assassinated for Arthur to go into power, or she was a synth and replaced.
Yeah, it's a cover up for sure. There's some
Mhm.
sort of
Yeah,
cover up.
exactly, and I think that brings us, bringing us back to the topic we got on before brought us off topic of how it's more of a cult and a lot of propaganda seen in Fallout, the Prime show. I think that has been just just how it's gone directly is, after those things have happened, it just has to be cover up because you've been covering up a lot of things. So it's like, okay, more cult like thing because you're just covering up so much information that it's just, where do you draw the line kind of thing.
Okay, so that is just our little episode about the Brotherhood of Steel and just a few theories surrounding them. If you guys want to hear some more Brotherhood of Steel stuff, or we could always talk about some of the other factions, maybe do a more in-depth look at the NCR, something like that, or a couple other topics we got lined up. But if you guys want to hear anything like that, just leave a comment what you want us to talk about. Goodbye.